begin?
Yes.
May I call upon Father Antoine Sondag, by pronouncing at least somewhat, neither French nor Spanish, maybe more towards Greek, but even then, welcome Father Antoine. He's the coordinator of Caritas France, also the former president of Pax-Romana, ICMICA. Give him a big hand. And this is also an indication of the Universal Church moving from Caritas Myanmar to Caritas France. Over to you.
I need my PowerPoint presentation again.
파워포인트 띄워놨다고 그건
Okay, there is no text, I have to apologize, but there is a PowerPoint. You will see the PowerPoint if the technology is ready. And just some elements of backgrounds. My person, so I was active in, this is this one, yeah. I was active in several Catholic associations, international organizations, and I worked also for a bishops' conference, like some other people here, but I had different with all the people here. I had never the aim to convert the bishops, but I worked for the bishops' conference in the capacity of Secretary of the Justice and Peace Conference of the French Bishops' Conference, and currently I am working with the French Caritas, and I was also not president of Pax-Romana, because this is the president is a lay person. I was chaplain of Pax-Romana. Okay, I'm supposed to speak to you a little bit of human development, and what is excellent is I am speaking at the end of the 2 days. Many things were already said by previous speakers, so it's excellent, you see, so I'm free to, I give you some insights. 5 points. First one is crisis, the so-called crisis. Everybody speaks about the crisis. There's an opportunity. After that, we will speak about human development, some debates, green transition, and I will finish with what are the resources in this debate available from the Catholic Church. First, crisis is an opportunity. This is already a statement. We have to see from where we are coming. We are saying crisis. Some people are saying the crisis started in 2008 with the collapse of American financial fund and banks, Lehman Brothers, etc. In fact, we have to remember that previously we had a food crisis, if you remember, and you had a demonstration in big cities of poor countries because the price of food raised and people were protesting. They were unable to pay the price of the food. After that we had the energy crisis. The price of the oil went up, and this was a very bad news for poor country, unable to pay the price of oil. After that we had the financial crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. Today the risk is because economical growth, which is different from human development, but economical growth started again in many countries in the world, in the emerging countries, especially here in Asia. So many people are saying there is no crisis here in Korea. Crisis is in Europe. Crisis is in the States. Crisis is in Japan, which from economical point of view, to some extent, is true. You see, when you have economical growth of 5, 6, 7, 8% and 9%, like in China, like in Myanmar, or like in Cambodia, you don't speak about crisis, at least economic crisis. And you say, where is the crisis? Crisis is in the States, in Western Europe, you see. But many people are thinking like that. At least the Asian governments are thinking like that, you see. That the crisis is elsewhere, not with us. And by doing like that, we are forgetting what we said 2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago, we said it is a global crisis. It is a systemic crisis. It is a crisis of our model of development. You see? It's not just a small accident and we are waiting, and after that we are going on business as usual. And we have forgotten this strong criticism we made against the global economy 2, 3, 4 years ago. In that time we said we cannot continue just with markets. We need a regulation, a state regulation, because this was missing in the United States. Or other people, or the same people said, we need a global governance. We need a global regulation. We need to have international conventions, international institutions to regulate this world economics or this world financial system. I remember this to you because now we are in a phase where we are forgetting this. You see, most of the people are saying now, okay, let's continue as it was before the beautiful crisis. You see, and we are not affected by the crisis because we have 8% of GNP growth in China, so it's not our problem. You see? So this is our background. How to get out of the crisis. You have different solutions or different scenarios. Some people are saying, okay, we will continue as it was before. What is very sure is that the old rich countries or the old developed countries have left a part of their power. This is symbolic shifting from the G8 to the G20. G8, big majority of Western states. G20 is much more balanced, you see, and very obviously the power is shifted from G8, from the West, to a more balanced G20. G20, many countries represented here are members of the G20, including India, China, Indonesia, Korea, South Korea, etc. And of course other ones, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Brazil. Yeah. This is true from an economical point of view and from a financial point of view. To some extent it's also true from a political point of view. Yeah? I give you an example. Yesterday there was a vote on the Security Council at the UN to pass a resolution to condemn the government of Syria, because the government of Syria is suppressing the demonstration of people asking more democracy. Already the Syrian army killed 3,000 people. Yeah? There was a resolution passed at the Security Council. Which are the countries which were opposed to condemn the government of Syria? These famous new, so-called new emerging powers. Who voted against? China, India, Russia, Brazil, South Africa. 5 who voted in favor, so 10 others members. You have 15 members in the Security Council. 10 against 5. But among the 5 you have 2 countries, they have veto right, China, Russia. So no resolution at the Security Council. So I am not totally sure that this shifting of power is always in favor of justice, democracy and human rights. This was just a power. So there is a shifting of power. There is a global partnership in the world. No one state, even not the United States, are able to find a solution for the economic and financial crisis and is not able to impose a solution. So they need a business community. Big enterprises. But our question could be, where is the civil society, you see, in all this discussion around economic and financial crisis? And we could also raise the question, who is in charge of the most vulnerable, weak, marginalized, oppressed one? I already gave an example with the democratic demonstration in Syria. How to get out of this so-called crisis? As I said to you, you see, many countries, especially emerging countries in Asia, they are not searching really a solution. They are just saying, okay, let's go on as it was before. Business as usual. If you say, this is perhaps the opinion of some of you, that this crisis shows the limit of the market economy, the limit of the regulation by the markets, this crisis is a systemic crisis. In that case, we need a systemic reform. Not many people are saying this, and less people are doing this. Conviction of some people, and I am part of this minority group, is that the crisis could be an opportunity to change the system. But this is more hope than a reality. And if we want to change the system, we have to go with a global regulation. Why global regulation? Because the problems are global problems. There is a financial unity in the world, so the problems are global, so we need to find global solution. And if we want to have, to some extent, a democratic way, it means that each person, each country, each continent, each culture has a say in this solution. In that case, we need to create or install a system of global governance, global economic and social order. A good question is to say, what is the root cause of the crisis? What is the root cause of the crisis? Okay, so instead of asking here, what are the root causes of the crisis, there was a survey organized in precisely the G20 countries, you see. So the G20 countries are not only Western countries, you see England, the States, Germany, Italy, but you have also, as I already said, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Pakistan, no, not Pakistan, India, China, Japan, etc. Okay, the G20, and the opinion poll, you see, very serious, more than 100,000 people were interviewed, 10 countries out of the G20. And one interesting conclusion, interesting for us at least, is that more than 2/3 of the people are saying that the economical crisis is at the same time an ethical crisis, a crisis of the values, you see. They are pinpointing the fact that the crisis comes from the fact that people have too much greed, or some people, they want to earn too much money, or easy money, or quick money. And this is the reason why we entered in this dangerous financial crisis. On the occasion of the G20 meeting, very often you have R20, a meeting of religious leaders, you see, a meeting of religious leaders. In the time of the G8 was very Christian dominated, you see. United States, England, France, Germany, Italy, only Japan was not very, very Christian. So, but you see, G8, of course, nobody says that this is a Christian club, you see, because all the states are secular. And nobody would say France is a Catholic country. But if you see this a little bit from a distance, you see, it is very much West, very Christian influenced. But now you have the G20. From a religious point of view, it's very interesting, because it's much more balanced. You have China, I don't know what is the official religion of China, money. Japan, you have Islam with Turkey, Indonesia, you have Hinduism with India, you have, of course, some Christian countries, etc. So you see from, even if you don't like G20 is much more balanced in terms of religion. So on the occasion of the summit, of the G20 summit, you have also a meeting of religious leaders. So these leaders came together last year. G20 was in Seoul here, and this year, next month, 3 and 4 November, G20 will be held in France. They had a meeting, and what they have said, they said the post-crisis economy should be more equitable and more sustainable. More equitable social issues, more sustainable ecological issues. Okay? If you are interested in this opinion poll, etc., you will find this World Economic Forum.org, and you click, you are searching. World Economic Forum is not exactly a radical leftist club, it's a club of business people, yeah? World Economic Forum is this famous forum gathering in Davos in Switzerland, yeah? And the World Social Forum, some of you here have already participated in a World Social Forum in Bombay a couple of years ago. The World Social Forum was created more or less parallel to Davos Forum or against Davos Forum. Okay, so I'm coming back. What are the root causes of the crisis and what are the exit scenarios of the crisis? If you say that the financial crisis is an ethical crisis, you see, the solutions for the crisis cannot be only financial or economical. You have also to tackle the root causes, the ethical crisis. If you say that the crisis is not just an unfortunate accident, but it is a systemic crisis, in that case you have to tackle the system itself and not just some details. Okay. This crisis raises again some basic questions, some radical questions. These questions are not new, you see. No need to wait till 2008 or 9 to raise the question, what is development, you see? What is progress? We have to rethink economics. What is growth? Is growth development? Or is development limited to growth, to economical growth? What is the aim of growth? You see? Or is growth the aim? These are radical questions, they are not new. But also the Christians are not the only one raising these questions. Yeah? Not only religious people are raising this question, including economists are dealing with this question, and I will try to speak a little bit about that, the debate within the community of economists. One of a very traditional, very old question, at least 50 years, or 50 years, since the beginning we are speaking about growth, is the question of growth and development. Generally, people are saying that development is more than growth, is different from growth. And this immediately brings the question how to measure the development. How to measure the development. So it's a little bit difficult to measure the development, so people are measuring the growth of economy, GNP. But when you are speaking about GNP, you realize that GNP is a limited tool, a limited index. When the GNP is low, we say the country is poor. When the GNP is very low, we say people are poor. But on the other hand, if you are reflecting on what is poverty, you have to admit very quickly that poverty is not only a monetary poverty. You see, like the World Bank, if you have as an earning less than $1.5 a person a day, you are absolute poor. Okay? But everybody understands that poverty is, the specialists are saying, multi-dimensional. Poverty is a multi-dimensional factor, means poverty has multiple aspects. Okay? And we are speaking about monetary poverty because it's easier to calculate, it's easier to identify. $1 or $1.5 a day a person. is a very traditional question, a very old question, is the GDP, gross domestic product, growth contributing to well-being? Is GDP growth contributing to well-being? This was a little bit one of the questions of Bishop yesterday. In China they have 8, 9, 10% of GDP growth each year since 20 years, you see. And the question is, are the Chinese happy? The question is, are people happy because the GDP is growing? It's not very easy to answer, you see. It's not very, I will try to answer a little bit later. Okay, and also another question which is coming today is this sustainable? Is this sustainable? It's a different question. GDP in China growing 10% a year, but they are destroying natural resources. They are polluting the rivers, you see, destroying the cultivable land, polluting the air. Can we continue like that? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 40 years, you see? So this is a good question for everybody. Just in China, it is, how to say, the climax of the question, you see? But the question we see today in China are in fact the question for the whole of the world. So, I'm switching to the second point, human development. Human development. There are many discussions about development is not enough. We want a development and we want to put the human being at the center of the development. We want a development in favor of people, you see, in favor of people. People-centered development, etc. So you have many ways to say this. One of the ways to say this was to say human development. Yeah, human development. Okay, this is not only a concern for people who moralists or Christians, you see, including within the community of economists, people are raising this question. Our beautiful development, is this really at the service of people? Okay? So this is the reason why I will start not by the discussion in the Catholic social teaching of the Church, but I will start with the discussion among economists. And I will take just one example, is this international report called Stiglitz-Sen Fiducie report. This is according to the name of 3 famous economists. Stiglitz is an American guy. He was a chief economist of the World Bank, the IMF, World Bank, and he's a Nobel Prize laureate for economics. Yeah, Amartya Sen is an Indian economist and philosopher.
Also Nobel laureate.
And he has also a Nobel Prize laureate in economics. And Fiducie has not yet a Nobel Prize, but Fiducie is probably the best French, not best, well-known French economist, yeah? Fiducie. These 3 guys, with other ones, but they put the 3 names in front to show that they're serious. They were leading a commission on measurement of economical achievements and social progress. Okay? Behind the title of the commission, you see already the concern. The concern is our economical achievement, is this in favor of social progress? Yes or no? Yeah? So you see the question is not only for Christians, it's for also economists. And the answer is in 3 parts. They have shown that the indexes we are using, the famous GDP or GNP, gross national product, has too many limits, you see, so we cannot speak about economical achievements only in terms of GDP. They said different things around well-beings and around sustainability, and we have here our discussion. They are not alone, you see, they are not alone, these economists or the member of this commission. You have also one of the institutions of the UN called UNDP, UNDP means United Nations Program for Development. Yeah, Secretariat is in Geneva, no? New York. UNDP, they, in fact, they are not saying this, but in fact they are very critical against the World Bank. And they don't like the GDP, you see, index. So they have elaborated 20 years ago, at the beginning of the 90s, the HDI, Human Development Index, and they call this human development. If you say human development, this means that the other ones who are speaking about development, this is not in favor of human beings. No? If everybody is in favor of human development, there's no need to speak about human development. Development is enough. If you say, I am doing human development, there's another way to say, you are not doing human development. So UNDP, UNPD, they are in fact criticizing the World Bank, and they have established this index, very interesting index, Human Development Index. Very interesting, especially for some people or for some countries here, because some countries here are very low. Very low. Yeah? Very low. Countries like, there's nothing new, you use this, let's say, generally countries in South Asia are very low. Yeah? Very low. Bangladesh, Nepal, India, including India, you see.
127.
Yeah. What is here, it's just a combination of, they are saying you should not speak about development only about money. If you have money, you are developed. If you don't have money, you are not development. You should put a combination of access to education and access to health services. So how to measure this is a statistical problem. Access to education, very simple, they say, okay, we take literacy. If people are able to read and to write, so this is well known, you take this. And access to health services, you say, okay, after 10, 20, 30 years, what is the result of access to health services is life, how you say this, life expectancy. So you take 1/3 is money, because you need money to live. 1/3 is education, and you take the index of literacy. 1/3 is access to health services, and you take life expectancy. You mix this, and you have Human Development Index. Okay? It's not exactly a revolution. It's not exactly a revolution, because the rich countries are still at the top. It's very easy to understand, because to build schools, we have seen this example with Myanmar, to build schools you need money. So of course if you are in a rich country, it's easier to build schools and hospitals. So the first 30... 10 more minutes, so I have to rush. Okay, this is human development. Critic of GDP in the community of economists, it is very well known. It is, you see, GDP has negative components. If you have car accidents, this increases the GDP because you are going one week to the hospital, the car, you have to repair the car. So these are some contradictions of GDP. It's very well known by the economists. And also GDP measures the activities of the market, but many things in life are out of the market. Many things. The beauty of autumn in Seoul, the quality of life, the quality of air, the political participation, you see, this is has no incidence on GDP, but it's very important. Okay. Well-being. Well-being is also multi-dimensional. Well-being is a mix of access to health, to education, equality, to political power, social link, security, etc. This is well-being, and of course the aim is not to increase your money, the aim is to have more well-being. So the economists, they are trying to calculate this, okay? Sustainability. Sustainability is also very important. Is the economic system we have now, is this sustainable? For instance, some countries are rich because they are plundering their capital, you see. They are exploiting the forests in Brazil, in Malaysia, in Indonesia. But is this real development? It's a little bit like a rich person, you see. You are selling your apartments one after the other. So of course you get money. But after 20 years, 30 years, you are poor. And some countries, they have this kind of model of development. They are selling the resources or exploiting the resources in an unsustainable way. Okay. This is sustainability. So you see, you have different critiques within the community of economics. There is a debate around statistics, around media, around political power. Around statistics, I already spoke to you saying that GNP is a too simplistic indicator, so we need other indicators. Media, the media, they like very much things which are simple. GDP is simple. This is the reason why every morning you have GDP and stock markets in your newspaper, but the indicator is very bad. So it would be better to give a privilege to Human Development Index. Political point of view is we are in a situation where we don't have good indicators to know where we have to go, you see. So how to fix orientations when you don't have appropriate indexes criteria. We are all together in a plane, but the pilot is blind. Green transition. This is around the issue of sustainability, around the issue of the green challenges. If you're interested, go to the site of the specialized institution of the United Nations Environment Program. The headquarters is in Nairobi, Kenya. And they have now a green economy initiative. What is quite sure is that we have to go to a new model of society. A new model of society means we have to do what we are now doing, but by consuming less energy, because energy is rare in the world, and we cannot afford a situation where the barrel of petrol will cost $300, $400. This would be very unjust for poor countries because they would not afford to pay such a high price. So the rich countries, they have to reduce the consumption in order to keep the price of oil down. And this means we have to do what we are now doing, but with less energy, especially less carbon energy, because this is producing CO2 and this is contributing to the climate change. Okay, and we have to also go to a model of economy which could protect a little bit more the biodiversity. This is very relevant with many countries which have presented here the country report. You have all this for forest, energy, etc. Green economy. This means we have to set new objectives for the economics, and we have to have a new idea of progress. Progress means also a sustainable progress, you see, and we have to introduce new indicators. This is a big debate for this. Some people are calling this the great green transition. We have to make a transition. Ecological crisis, in fact we have three: climate change, degradation of ecosystems, and threat against the biodiversity. We have many so-called natural disasters. What we should say is that the natural disasters are not natural, and the natural disasters are in fact socio-ecological disasters. Why socio-disasters? Is an earthquake is not a problem. The problem is that people are killed. Why people are killed? People are killed because they were living in houses which were not anti-seismic, etc. And there, this is a social problem. It's not the problem of the earthquake. is the problem is why people are living there. You have a flood, why people are dying? Because they were living there, they should not live there, or they had no time or no means to escape from the situation. So this is a social problem, you see. The problem is not the river, the problem is the number of victims. And if you analyze why the victims are victims, you will find that poor countries have more victims. Haiti, 250,000 people killed in an earthquake. And it was not a terrible earthquake, it's because nothing was prepared there. You have a big river in Asia, you have this Mekong, the river in Bangladesh, etc. So everybody knows every year you will have flood, but you have to prepare people. People are not prepared in poor countries or poor people. Including in rich countries, poor people are living in regions which are more affected by pollution of water and air. So this means the so-called natural disasters are not natural disasters, are socio-ecological disasters. Ecological because with the climate change we will have more disasters, more frequent and more intense disasters. Okay, I said this here. The great deal is that the country which now are contributing, for instance, to the climate change, to CO2 production, like China or India, these countries or their government, they don't want international regulation because they are in a process of catching up, you see, the old industrialized or the old developed countries. So in the international debate, the emerging countries, including India, China, Thailand, Indonesia, they don't want to have international regulations. And they say, the old countries, they want to have regulations because they want to put a handicap to emerging economies, you see. So what is the solution? The solution is to recognize that we have to work all together and that the old developed countries, they have a historical responsibility and they have to pay more for the international regulation. This negotiation will be held in Durban in December, the conference on the climate change, and next year in May, Rio 2012, economical and sustainable development. Resources from the Catholic Church. To deal with these issues, we have a lot of resources, you see, in the Catholic Church. The Bible, we already had some insights here coming from the Bible, the doctrine of the creation, etc. We have many things from the Catholic social teaching. At least you have two famous encyclicals, one from 67, Progress of People. I'm sorry, I'm writing this in Latin because it's tradition. And Solitudo Socialis, in English it is Social Concern from 87. And the last encyclica, Charity in Truth, from our Pope. And you have a more recent document, it's not an encyclica, it is what the Pope said at the German Parliament during his last week to Germany. He made a speech at the Bundestag and he said a lot of things about this green transition, you see, and the anthropological foundation of the new model of development. We have to find a new relationship not only with nature, ecology, but also one with the other, and he calls this human ecology. Sorry, human ecology. This is the concept of the Pope. Okay. So we have a lot of resources to deal with the issue. www.vatican.va. This is the Vatican. It's an excellent data resource. You go there, you have a research engine, and you find all the documents, not in all languages, but at least in English. Okay. Human development, no need to elaborate. This is excellently described in Desmond de Sousa's papers, page 2 and 3. He has 2 pages of what is human development. Is the development the famous sentence of Paul VI, the development is the development of the whole human being for all human beings. Okay? And when you say for all human beings, it's not only the 7 billion people living now with us on the planet, but it's also the coming generation. You see, charity is not only for people who are now living, charity is also for coming generation. I will not elaborate more, not only because I have no time, but also because you have this in Desmond's paper. Benedict XVI, some people are saying he is a green pope. He pushed forward this topic and he introduced new concepts in the Catholic social teaching. You know that the CST is a moving doctrine, and he introduced this idea also that this is an anthropological question. And he introduced also in the last encyclica, he stressed the fact that sometimes we have to get out of the market economy where everything has a price and everything has a value, money, and that money is the universal equivalent. He wants to get out, and he introduced this concept. Is this an English concept? Freeness. The fact that something is free, you see, has no price. Doesn't mean no value. You see, but it is not a commodity. Sometimes we say also it's not a commodity. You see. So he said we should guarantee a space, a place for free things, including in the economical system. After that, we have to find what kind of geometrical categories in order to organize this. Okay, what are the challenges today in Asia for FABC, according to me? Is of course we have the teaching of the past 40 years, but we have to deal with emerging economies. Emerging economies, you see, you cannot put in the same basket Myanmar and Thailand. Thailand is an emerging economy. Thailand is attracting all the neighbors, people from Myanmar, from Laos, from Cambodia. Okay? This is a specific challenge, emerging economy. You have the emerging economies, but you have also the emerging middle class. In China, middle class, 300 million people are living in a middle class. Okay? Very easy to recognize. They have enough money to be a tourist abroad, and so they are coming everywhere, including to Korea, as a tourist. In India, if you call middle class, it means that for rich people. It's a little bit different. It's not exactly middle. Okay. It's a real challenge, you see, this growing middle class in these emerging economies. And the attitude of many of these people are greed, you see. Monetary richness is a unique criteria. Okay? This is you spoke yesterday or the day before about the spiritual void, because we are in a phase where some people, let's say the Chinese middle class, the real religion is no longer Marxism. I don't know if it was ever Marxism. I'm not quite sure about Confucianism or Buddhism or Taoism, but money is surely the main religion. You see, to make money. Okay, and once you have emerging economies, you have also this specific problem. Not poverty. This is the old story. We know this. But poverty in rich countries, you see, poverty in rich countries, which is different from poverty in poor countries, and which is different from poverty what we already heard today or these days about poor people, tribal people, oppressed people. Poverty in rich countries is a little bit different. Is people they are not so much suffering from monetary poverty, but they are suffering from exclusion and isolation. The question of the model of development is still valid, you see, still valid, including in Asia. It is, we have a model of development, but it is to copy. You see, everybody, Thailand wants to copy Korea. Korea, before, have copied Japan. So we will do what the other have done 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But what with LDC? LDC is less developed countries, the other ones. And if the emerging countries and the rich countries are consuming too much of natural resources, the price of natural resources will go up. And so the poor, they have no longer access to oil, energy, timber, etc. And if really you want to think about the future, okay, it's also possible to think about what will happen after that. Postmodern society, we are already in postmodern society. At least in big cities, we are already in postmodern society. And perhaps even post-materialistic societies with the real question of spiritual void. Okay, I was too long, sorry.